because it's good for you. You can open some windows. Oh, is that window cracked? Go ahead and open some windows if you guys want to. Get some air. Oh, perfect. Yes. All right, let's go back to this. Make sure we understand all this. So quizzes make sense. Hopefully, yes. Any concerns, questions? We're okay with them. All right, projects. They're already posted. Just so you know, you can get into those starting right now if you want to. So the first one is due in week 3. The next one is due in week 6. There's the one right there. Next one is week 8, I think. Yep, Super County. And then the last one is in the last week of class. Like quizzes, feel free to work on these with anybody you want to. Work with each other, work with me, work with the tutors. Like quizzes, don't walk down to the tutoring center the day before something's due and go, I don't get it, help me start this. They'll kick you out, and I will too. But by all means, work. Use the internet. Use resources. Use any resource at your disposal. Use all kinds of technology that you want. I very often will ask you to justify what you're doing, which means you can just write sentences if you want to. So you can't just take an answer from online and regurgitate it. You're going to have to explain it in your own words. And that's okay. That's okay. Because you guys do it very, very well. But the reason I have these projects is, like, for example, this one right here. I'll tell you a story that goes with this one. My across the street neighbor was pregnant about, how old is Addie now? I think she's 4. 4 years ago, 5 years ago. And she got an amnio exam, amniocentesis exam, and it came back positive for Down syndrome. And she freaked out, completely freaked out. And I said, sit down, let's do some math, and this will calm you down. Now, hear what I just said. Let's do some math, and this is going to calm you down. And it did, because I showed her that the chance of that test being falsely positive for a non-at-risk mother was about 99.999%. Exactly. What? Exactly. The problem with those tests, they work great for at-risk mothers. They work terribly for non-at-risk mothers. And she was not an at-risk mother, but she took the test anyway. And what this project does is it allows you to get in there and look at false positives and false negatives of tests like amnio tests, like HIV tests, like DUI tests, like checkpoint tests, things like that, and analyze what happens when that test comes back positive. A test coming back positive doesn't mean that you have whatever you have, because it could be a false positive, and this teaches you how to deal with false positives. It also teaches you how spam filters work on your email. So it's wonderful, but it's also the kind of thing that isn't in most textbooks. Like, most textbooks don't have a false positive section. They have a mention of it somewhere. So I built a project. It's a bit long. It doesn't use that, just so you know. The whole point of the project is to not, hopefully you saw that, vomitous. But you're not going to be using that. You're going to be using a whole bunch of more concrete ideas. So the projects are extensions of class. They're enrichments of class. They take the beginnings of what we do in class and then launch onto more interesting stuff. You won't see this stuff in quizzes. You won't see this stuff on exams. It's standalone stuff. It's standalone stuff. It kind of teaches itself, if you will, if that makes sense. You will make sense as you go through it. So what I've done is I've taken a few topics out of the course that I see in everyday life that most stat courses don't do, but most stat people that use statistics use all the time. And I put them into these projects. And that's why there's 4 of them. They scatter very nicely throughout the course. So the way these bad boys work, let's back out again. The way they work, they're 25 points a pop for 100 points total. So at the end of the day, they make up the same part of your grade as the quizzes do. Hopefully that makes sense. They reach a quarter of your overall grade, ish, depending on how many quizzes that you do. Yeah? They might seem a little bit weird right now. When you get into the first couple, you're like, oh, I see where he's going with this. We analyze things like Groundhog's Day data, or why COCC has 6 hard drives to back up your data. Things like that, numerically analyze questions like that. Yeah? Good, good. If you have me 105, you know what it looks like, but if you don't, you'll pick it up pretty quickly. Good stuff? All right. So that's projects. They're on the schedule page as well. I don't know why there's an ampersand there. Go in there and check that out. Now the exams, this is something else that I changed.
I saw that.
The ampersand?
I see the out of class.
Yes, the exams I changed a little bit based on student evals from last term. So I used to give 3 exams a term. I'd give part of it in class, closed books, closed notes, and then I'd give you half the exam out of class, use any resources that you want. And I decided that, I thought to myself, man, what job works like that? Where you can't use any resources at all, and you're basically just regurgitating back information. And I couldn't think of one job that did it. I couldn't think of one career that did it, and I said, you know what, to hell with this. Let's just try something new this term. So you're gonna have 2 exams, and they're basically all done out of class, using any resources that you want, anything at your disposal. So we're gonna give this a shot, we're gonna see how it goes. I wanna ask you guys, at the end of the term, I'm gonna survey you and see what your takeaway was on it. Based on the evaluations I got last term, this is going to be a big hit. Hopefully it will. Hopefully it will. I like it because it allows me to get you into Googling more. I got very nervous about 6 years ago or so when the state of Oregon removed the CIS 120 requirement from the AAOT degree. That was a lot of acronyms, I apologize. But they basically said for a general AAOT, you don't have to take a computer class anymore. Because you guys are growing up with technology now. You don't have to take a class on how to use Excel or file management. It's a load of crap. You need to learn how to do these things. Just because somebody can text doesn't mean they can do an Excel spreadsheet well. So I like the idea of working that into your assessments. So you guys will be Googling quite a bit on these assessments, even more than you did in 105, even more. So you'll be getting in, finding stuff online, then using the stuff in the context of what we're learning in class. So think of it as like a super quiz, right? Think of it as, like, each quiz is like one topic review, one question, one question, one question. Think of these as like a whole bunch of things all tied together, like a summative kind of thing. Only one on week 5 and one due the last week of the last class meeting. But just 2 of them, just 2 of them. I'll post them at least a week and a half, 2 weeks out. You'll have plenty of time to work on them. Please work on them with each other, make study groups, do the whole shebang. Do the whole shebang. Okay?
Awesome.
Yeah, I want to try this. I've been wanting to try this for years, but every term, the evals would come back split. Like, half people don't want it, half people do want it. And this was the first term where it kind of leaned over. I'm like, yeah, let's just try it and see what happens. So, I'm curious. I'm curious to see what happens. You may have noticed when they were posted. I think one's in, like I said, I think one's in week 5. Let's look. Yep, here it is. And I'll hyperlink that bad boy for you. It'll most likely have an Excel spreadsheet or 2 to go with it. Most likely. Nick, go!
That was Math 105 that you highlighted.
Well, whatever. There we go.
Yeah.
Then look at that cell. Thank you, my friend. Absolutely. But and I'll make sure I hyperlink the correct ones for you. Yeah, piss you off a little bit. So, and most likely you have other resources like Excel spreadsheets, maybe a PowerPoint or 2, probably some YouTube videos to go along with them. But just, I want you guys getting in there and seeing how the subject applies outside of just these 4 walls, which is what the rest of the class is doing anyway. So I figure I'll take exams to that level too. Cool? But done outside of class. So that's the day it's due. You'll bring that to class that day and hand it in. You'll be working on it well before that. Cool? And I'm going to send you guys our progress report every week, letting you know what's going on, letting you know what you've turned in, what you've got on it, what your current grade is. They'll keep coming to you once a week, and I'll keep those updated.
Our final exam, that's the one on our last day.
It is. I have to change the assessment because your final exam will just be turned in that day, yeah?
Gotcha.
On that Thursday, you're going to bring that exam to with you. So what I think I might end up doing that last day, because I have to hold something on that day, is we'll do like the survey bit in class that day. I'm thinking that way we get you all here and then we actually do the survey. We'll see. I'll figure that out as we get closer to it. Because there won't be like a sit down, sweat, vomit in your mouth, final exam kind of experience. But hopefully not. And we'll see. That might make you vomit more. Make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so calculate your grade. Let's get back out of here. Yeah, that's all. I put a little grading page here. I'm on a 10-point scale, 90%, 80%, 70%, all that stuff. In case you want to calculate your grade in between when I send progress reports, I gave you a little template here. You can run numbers through it. It kicks out how you're doing. Some people like to do that. They like to do it towards the end of class in particular to figure out what they have to get left to get a certain grade that they want. So you can just keep messing with these numbers and like, how many more quizzes do I have to get? Because if you keep getting 10s on quizzes, your average is most likely going to keep going up. Unless you've already got 100 average, in which case it's going to stay exactly there. So a lot of students like to mess with that and kind of see where they're headed. Use it in good health. I built it in fairly good health. So, quizzes. The first quiz you may have noticed was posted for Thursday, because it's already hyperlinked. That quiz is on this page. See this rules hints page? It's right here. This is what you think of when you think about a syllabus. It's thou shalt not, thou wilt, thou wilt. That's a fun word. You know, don't do this because it makes me frown kind of stuff. It's a page full of that stuff. Page full of it. I'm not going to read it to you right now because number 1, you don't want to hear it right now, and number 2, I gave you a quiz on it. So if you go to that quiz posted on Thursday and click on it, it's a true-false quiz based on that page. So your job is to go to that rules hints page and find out the answers to this. I will most likely forget anything sent to me before or after class, true or false. Shh, keep that to yourself over there, you know already. Assignments turned in late, you still receive full credit, true or false, those kinds of things. I did have to change the quiz up a little bit from last term because some of the stuff has changed it was pointing to, so it's slightly different for you guys that had me last term. Just 10 questions, true or false, 1 point each. There you go. There's your first quiz. Count that as 1 of 10, yes? Yes, yes indeed. Cool? Making sense? Okay, good. So that's pretty much everything. The rest is stuff you might never look at. Enrichment is simply a page where every once in a while I'll say something in class like, there is a formula for this, and if you're interested in seeing it, I put it here. Or, you know, the Powerball jackpot's at 847 million right now, and when that happens, the expectation goes positive, and you might want to go there and look why. I mean, this is kind of those things where it's the deeper part of the course if you want to go there. You might never want to go there. You might not care why a standard normal distribution has a mean of 0 and a standard deviation of 1. You might not care. If you do, it's here. This is those kinds of things. I was like the worst student. I would sit there in class and just stare at the prof, and then he'd say something like, how come? How come? And I encourage you guys, please be that student. I love that. I love that, by the way. Why? I don't buy that. I don't buy that. I will try to always make you buy it. But if you don't buy it, yes, we'll make you buy it. But sometimes it gets more mathy. Like some of these get fairly mathy in there. So I might just point you to this page where you can check out the math behind it, if you're so inclined. A lot of students never look at this page at all. So that's there for you. If you have trouble falling asleep at night sometime too, just crack out one of those things, put you out in 5 minutes. Outcomes and college policies are just, we've already talked about them, it's just the stuff we have to have on our syllabus. And that, my friends, is a course. What do we think?
Right.
We can live in here?
Yeah.
We're gonna learn together? Learn from each other? Yeah. Please. I love the fact that it's collaborative. Keep the ideas coming. Keep the ideas coming. Because the more I hear from you guys, the more I can make the course work for you. I like to pay attention to how you learn. And I don't want to teach something the way it's been taught for 50 years just because it's been taught for 50 years. I want to kind of apply it and adjust it and things like that. So let's begin. Let's stop and start the camera again. I'm going to put you in charge. Your name is?
Cassidy.
Cassie.
Cass.
Go up to the camera. There's a button on this side of it. It's like a long oval button.
Yeah.
Vertical.
Start.
Push that once. It should go.